It's time to build a Fellblade. Let's go.
Hello, I'm Marcel.
And I'm Mrs. Snakeworks. This is the Fellblade box. It's massive. You can see just how big it is with the Marine and the Rhino next to it.
The back of the box has your usual information, a picture of the tank and some of its options, and another picture of the tank in a diorama setting. It also has some painting scheme ideas. I don't know if schemes is the correct term for these. Options, perhaps? Now, using a knife, we crack open the seal and do our best to finger the flaps open. I actually find these sort of flaps hard to prise open. I think I prefer the boxes with the tops that just slide off myself. With the box opened, we can slide out the contents. I do like the way that it contains the inner tray, like a box of Bendix mints or something. The sort of thing you get at Christmas time, back in the 90s.
What were the little mints that came in a rectangular shape? They were about 5mm thick. They'd be arranged next to each other in the cardboard box, a bit like a bookshelf, you know, like arrayed in lines, probably 3 or 4 lines of them. I think they were wrapped in green foil, or maybe it was gold. They weren't Bendix or Viscounts. I just can't remember what they were. If you remember, please let us all know in the comments below.
The box tray contains everything in the kit. Let's have a look at what delights it contains. First up is this hatch sprue. This is the generic sprue included in all of the Horus Heresy tank kits. There's lots of nice bits on this one. This is the Fellblade sponson sprue. It contains the parts to build the laser destroyers, the coolest weapon in the kit, and also the parts to build those quad heavy bolters that seem to be upsetting everybody. I think it is something to do with real world mechanics and how they wouldn't work, but I'm no tank expert, so I couldn't tell you. We also get the parts to make the quad las cannons. This sprue is in a lot of the other Land Raider based kits. I built some of these for my Spartan, you know.
Yeah, that Spartan is over here. It's half painted at the moment. One day we'll get around to finishing this, but probably not today.
This sprue has all of the parts to build one side of the hull. The details on the armour plating there is very crisp and nice. I'm interested to see how these go together and how hard it'll be to make a kit without any gaps. This is probably one of the sprues you were most excited to see. The parts to make the Fellblade's turret. These pieces are really big. Dome turrets look so good, especially when compared to the more boring squarer versions, and I can't wait to get this built. Another sprue for the other side of the tank now. I just realised that I missed that these also carry the parts to make the tracks. If there's one detail I reckon they're missing, it's those little Imperial Eagles every 2 or 3 track links, like the old Land Raider kit.
Now, if I remember right, it was like every 12 track links had the Aquila embossed on it. Something to do with the 12 High Lords of the Imperium, perhaps? And it would stamp the mark of the Imperium wherever the tank went. It's a new dance move. It was a long time ago that I read about that, so my memory might be failing me on that one.
This here piece contains the top panel for the hull. It gives us an early indication of just how big the tank is going to be when finished. We also have parts for the drum things that hang on the back, and a couple of heavy flamers, too by the looks of things. The last sprue is this one. This sprue has the big floor panel and a lot of the pieces that make up the Fellblade's exhaust systems. We can also see the new round doors this kit has instead of the old rectangular doors that the old Forge World version has.
Which leads us to today's big question. What shaped doors do you prefer on your tanks? Do you like the rectangular doors, or do you like the old style round doors? Let us all know in the comments below. And by the way, I think it would have been good if this kit actually gave us the option to choose.
We also get a big old decal sheet or decal. Transfers. Usually these are A5, but this one's A4, so it's a big one. There's lots of transfers on there for specific legions, and also lots of generic ones for us scumbags that don't paint Iron Warriors, Sons of Horus, Imperial Fists, or Salamanders. And I'm starting to get an itch to paint Salamanders now. As we would expect, there's an instruction manual in the kit. This one's a fairly hefty one, again an A4 book. There's a lot of steps to complete, so I imagine it will take a while to build. I like to skim read these before I start, just to see if anything odd or interesting takes my eye and might need special attention later. To build the kit we need some gear. In this instance I have my Tamiya clippers, a Stanley knife which everyone always says is too big, various viscosities of Tamiya glue and some elastic bands. Not shown is a packet of hobby files and of course some good old elbow grease.
You gotta use good old elbow grease.
We used, stomach grease.
The first time I remember watching that TV show, I almost died of suffocation from laughing so much. Anyway, I digress too much. Let's begin the build, shall we?
To remove parts from the sprue, we use a pair of cutters. These are the aforementioned Tamiya plastic cutters. I've had them a good few years now, and they still do a good job. To remove the sprue attachment points and clean them up a little, we use a knife. You can also use a file to do this, and I'm sorry about the blurry footage here. Here's our first part all cleaned up and ready to go. If you look carefully, you can see where we cleaned up the piece. This is quite a big part, the rear end of a side panel by the looks of things.
I'm only going to show you the removal of the parts from the sprue and the cleanup of them once. I doubt you want to see that process for each and every part.
Next up is the front half of the same side. We can see how it attaches via this square peg and round hole combination. It's the first time I've seen a joint like this. To glue these parts together, we will be using Tamiya cement, the thick stuff. As these are big heavy panels, I don't want them falling apart under their own weight. We then apply the glue to all the areas that will contact, trying our best not to get it anywhere where it will come out of a visual scene. There's also this piece to attach. It's the rear roller wheel for the tracks. It probably has a proper name that tank experts will know, but to me it looks like the manhole cover from the Turtles intro. Blink and you'll miss it.
Did you see it? Wow! Let's carry on.
The manhole cover just sticks on the rear of the side assembly. A nice easy step. Next up is a pair of big pieces. These are very wide, almost like little plastic tubs. They do feel a bit like cheap bits of scenery that you used to build, but hopefully they won't feel like that for long. These two pieces also go together with a pair of those square and round hole peg systems. I accidentally put too much glue on, and I was worried those round holes might be used as locators later, so I had a little panic and tried to clean them out.
It wasn't worth the worry though, as those bits are never seen again. So feel free to go to town with your glue.
Next up, a couple of smaller parts. Another manhole cover or wheel, and two half wheels on a stick. You'll see why they're like this shortly. You can see where the wheel attaches to the rear end of the side panel, and that stick and half wheels locates in a little slot, giving us another two wheels for the tracks to sit on. Our next parts are these two triangular pieces which go on the front of the track sides. I remember hearing that these bits were a pain in the arse to fit on the resin version, but we won't be sticking them on now as I have some other bits I want to attend to first. Before we stick the side halves together, we just wanted to check and see how they fit and located. It turns out there are a lot of male and female pins and holes, so lining it up shouldn't be a problem. After gluing those sides together, we added a few elastic bands to hold them in place. You might not even need these, but I'm terrified of gaps, slits and warping.
Remember, nobody ever wants to see an untidy slit. Untidy slits usually involve having to go back and finger some filler in or something. A lot of faffing about. So if we can avoid that, we will.
Here we have the doors for the Fellblade. I'm still not sure if I want to paint these separately or not yet, so I think we shall be leaving these off, for now at least. Fast forward an hour or so and we now have the second track side finished. The assembly process was exactly the same as the other side, so we felt you didn't need a repeat of the last 5 minutes. Again, we're all banded up to prevent gapping. After a few hours have passed, to make sure the glue's properly dry, we waited overnight, and then we can remove the bands. Remember those triangular-ish parts from earlier we left off? Well, now we're going to get them on. Also, when you hold them together, they look like a Freddo frog.
Now this is a Freddo. I bought this specifically for this video and it cost me X amount of pounds. Oh, okay, I was meant to fill it in. It cost me 45p. They used to be cheap, like 10p or 5p or something, back in 1925. Nowadays, you have to have won the lottery to be able to afford one. But tasty though. 95 calories per bar? I'll be as fat as if I eat these.
With Freedom Face attached to the front of the track sides, we are pretty much finished.
Freedom Face. It's supposed to say Freddo Face. Did I leave another typo in the script again? It would appear so.
With Freedom Face attached to the front of the track sides, we are pretty much finished with these. We can now move on to other areas of the tank. Alright then, so have a look at this. Yet another face. This time it's the panels that make up the rear of the Fellblade that the exhaust attaches to. Why do these things always look like faces? It must be some sort of psychological thing. This is one of the parts to build the exhaust from, the central housing and grille. We also have another 2 pieces that comprise of the end exhaust housings, giving us 4 in total, 2 in the middle and 1 on each end. With all those pieces attached, we have this, a big chunky exhaust system, but it's still missing the actual smokestacks. But it's still missing the actual smokestacks.
Exhaust snacks. Lovely. I do love how all of the Imperial vehicles have the same design aesthetic to their exhausts. They're all just variations on a theme. I think they refer to it as a shared design language.
Here, arrayed before you, are all the bits required to make the 4 exhaust stacks, 8 halves. Some have rounded bases and some have squared bases. The reason why will become clear shortly. We did our best to get these glued together nicely, but still ended up with little visible seams down the joins. We've a plan to sort this at the painting phase, so just please remind me to do it. Now I know we said the reasons will become clear about the round and square bases, but you can't actually see it now. Well, they all slot into different areas of that exhaust section, so you can't get it wrong. It would be like putting square pegs in round holes, and vice versa. I've never struggled getting my peg into any holes before, and I sure as hell won't be getting it wrong now. Here we have some more of the exhaust pipe parts, the curved bits that feed into those exhaust stacks. Those things were pretty easy to attach, but they did want to give me some gapping, so I had to hold these down pretty tightly while the glue dried.
Along with the elastic bands, I think I might need to invest in some modelling clamps. Do any of you guys have any recommendations on a good brand, or set, or link to a good set of them that I could buy on Amazon or something?
Parts to make an orky looking pincer now. Well, they are in fact little pieces that attach the exhaust section to the sides of the tank. Gluing those side pieces onto the exhaust section gives us this. It looks like one of those old Tyrannid biovores, doesn't it? Or one of the old epic titans. Was it the Hierophant? Next up, it's the parts for the floor panel. One large long piece and a smaller panel for the end. I'm not sure why it wasn't just made as one piece. Maybe someone out there knows. Now I was worried we might get a nasty gap or something, but these bits actually go together rather well. The joiner's on the right there, beside that long 2x4 looking bit with the rivets on. Now I thought we had already removed the elastic bands, but let's just do it again. We can't glue those new parts on with the bands in the way. Now here's a nice little bit of engineering. The exhaust section attaches to the track sides via all of these slots and posts. They're nice and snug, so there's no flopping around or anything. We just need to be careful we don't put so much glue on it squeezes at the gaps. or should I say the join.
Some of the joints in this kit are really well done. You can tell it's much better designed than previous kits. If all the kits are like this going forwards, then I'll be very happy indeed. They'll be a joy to assemble.
The joint is so good, I've even just left the part hanging to dry. I didn't have to break out the elastic bands for this bit. Next up are those two parts that make up the front. I'm not sure what that ridged piece is supposed to represent, some sort of heatsink perhaps? Sticking those together gives us this. You can see some sort of piston or something running through that heatsink, so maybe it's the radiator, but it seems a bit vulnerable right on the front there though. We have to attach the sides to the floor now, and this time we did break out the elastic bands again. These are some big panels and we want a nice fit. Again, like before, as it was a big join, we gave the glue a long time to work its magic. In this case, we left it overnight, just to be sure.
Now, does anybody out there in the world know the exact average time, if that's even a thing? Can you be exact and average? I don't think they really work together. Anyway, does anyone know how long it actually takes for a polystyrene cement join to harden completely? I feel I need to know this. It's probably about 6 hours, maybe 12, or even 24. I just made that up. I had no idea. Could be like 48 hours. Or it might be an hour.
Now, while waiting for the glue to dry, I decided to watch some highly rated old movies. This week, it was Das Boot. It's a great movie, but has solidified my belief that I never ever want to go on a submarine.
Diesmal erwischen sie uns nicht! Diesmal nicht!
The next day the glue was all dry and we could remove the elastic bands to continue on. That meant yet more elastic bands for the other side. After dabbing some cement on the joins before putting the parts together, we also wicked thin polystyrene cement in after the bands were on. This will seep into the joins and make them even stronger. And again, we'll leave the parts to dry. There's a lot of drying time in this one, isn't there? Next up, we have some track links. We need to do some investigation to see if we can leave these off at the painting stage or not. These are the rear track covers, little plastic rectangles. We need to see if the tracks can be added after sticking these bits on. To us, they were a bit fiddly, so we actually glued this last track link in under the track covers. Hopefully we can leave the rest off though.
Now, I always like to paint my tracks separately if I can. I don't know if it really saves any time or hassle, but I feel it does.
Here are the parts we need to build those fuel can assemblies. Amusingly, when you hold them together, they form a shape that reminds me of that ship in the old movie, The Last Starfighter.
No starfighters, no plan.
Sadly, after those pieces are assembled, we don't get a starfighter, but we do get some fuel drums, or depth chargers, or whatever the hell these are supposed to be. In the words of Hudson from Aliens, "You tell me, man, I only work here."
You tell me, man, I only work here.
Once the drums are built, we can add them to the tank. I did originally think about leaving them off to paint separately, but they're sort of moulded into their mounts, which I want to paint with the rest of the hull, so we'll have to figure that out later. These are the parts to make the hull-mounted heavy bolter, or Bolger, if your autocorrect is acting up as usual.
Wasn't there a character in something called Fatty Bolger, or did I dream that? Where have I heard of Fatty Bolger before?
With the heavy bolters assembled, we have these. Luckily, we don't have to drill the barrels out. We then in turn mount those heavy bolters into the big round mount. This one reminds me of a Rolo. Remember those?
Do you love anyone enough to give them your last Rolo? Soft creamy toffee in a milk chocolate cup.
Next up are all these parts that comprise of the next section. The little top panel of the bolter turret and the front hull plate. Or part of the roof. I'm not sure what you'd call it, to be honest. There's also this little window which I forgot to add, so let's clean that up quickly now too. All of those parts assembled makes this one big panel. The heavy bolted turret will move, but I'm not too bothered about that as it's not a toy.
Now, some people, idiots, claim Warhammer stuff as toys. But I'm not sure I would agree with this, because toys are for kids. And we all know Warhammer is for discerning adults, like you.
Before we move on, we need to take all the elastic bands off that we stuck on earlier while waiting for the glue to dry. It's been ages now, so they should be solid. solid as a rock.
Solid! Solid as a rock!
With the bands off, we can add our heavy bolter turret assembly. Interestingly, I feel if we turned that open back area into a troop carrying bay, this would make a pretty cool super heavy marine troop carrier or something. Maybe we can do a kit bash of these one day somewhere down the line. Again, like before, as there are a lot of edges that need to line up perfectly, we use some elastic bands to hold the part in place while the glue dried.
Some people call this setting up, and I absolutely hate that phrase.
So we're going to let that set up for a few seconds, and then we'll come back and start gluing the sides on, and I'll show you how it all looks.
I will allow you to use going off, or drying, or setting even, but setting up is a no-no.
The big turret top plate goes on next, but before we glue it, I need to check a couple of things, so we shall first be dry fitting it. Firstly, we need to check if I can get the tracks in and out that go underneath it, and the answer is yes we can. So these track pieces can be left off too. Secondly, we have these little slots that have a Tetris block stuck to them?
Shape to them.
You're supposed to glue parts on there first, but I'm not sure I agree. We want to leave these off for now if I can. Here are those little parts that fix into those slots. They are like little fingers that extend down from the top plate onto the hull sides. It turns out that we can leave these off and stick them on later, so we shall indeed be doing that. I think gluing them on first might create a few problems when it comes to putting the top plate on.
If any of you guys who built this kit put these bits on first, please let me know how that went. Did it help or hinder the process?
Guess what? Well, it's more elastic bands. This time holding that huge hull top plate in place while the glue dries. We do not want any gaps on this piece. While the top dries, we can move on to the other weapons. In this case, parts for the demolisher cannon on the front. There are two halves for this. After sticking the two halves together, there's a little end plate, the end of the barrel. It has these nice little holes arrayed all around the tip, but I'm not sure what they're for, and I reckon it's copied off a real world vehicle. With that cap on, the demolisher cannon is now complete. We just need to mount it. The cannon has a big mounting plate and a little plug to go in its rear end. I need to figure out a way to make this separate so I can prime and paint the cannon separately. I've actually just lightly tacked in the plug at the back so we have a temporary position for the cannon. Giving it a good yank later should break this seal, allowing it to move again. The cannon will slide on and off the plug, but I do want to be careful, as if the plug falls off and into the hull, it'll be a right bugger to get out.
It's a bit like when you lose your plectrum inside your acoustic guitar. Guitar players will know exactly what I mean by this.
John, you just broke your guitar?
I don't give a shit.
Next up are the two halves of the Fellblade cannon. I hate long barrels that come in halves as you get nasty seams, so let's try our best to make sure we don't. So step 1, again, we elastic band the halves together, but we don't actually glue them. This is to hold them in place nicely. We then wick glue into the seams and also rub a little extra thin cement over the seam, which will work as a kind of filler. It might also be a bit tacky for a while, so let's leave that to one side for a bit to dry and come back to it later. Here are the parts to make the barrel tip. Some sort of flash suppressor or something. I've no idea what this bit is actually for. You also get little rings that go onto the end of those halves. Hopefully, these will hide some join lines. After a few minutes, the barrel tips are built. We do, however, have some more seams, so we'll tackle these like we do the main gun barrel seams.
It would seem like a good idea to me. I'll get my coat.
Okay, so as the process for seam fixing will be the same as the other parts of the barrel, we just glued those barrel tips on, or whatever the hell they're called. Our next little sub-assembly is this, the barrel holder. I've no idea what this one's called. And the little plates that hold it. It's probably called an elevator or something. The elevator contraption will sit inside the lower turret ring, but again we want this painted separately and also movable, so we won't be gluing it together. Also, this looks a bit like those flying UFO robot things from Batteries Not Included. Next up is the turret top and this round detail. I actually asked some people on my Instagram just what the hell this thing is supposed to be. Some people said it's a pistol hatch, and others some sort of vent. I reckon it looks like a Sanwa arcade button, and if you reckon you know, then by all means, let us all know. With the button attached to the top part of the turret, we can join the turret pieces together. However, I want mine to be in different colours, so we will be leaving it separate.
There's going to be a lot of separate parts at the painting stage. I just hope we don't lose any of those bits in the meantime.
Now on my way into the city, on my push bike to get some primer, I noticed a weird monkey puzzle tree, which I feel you need to see.
I have here a monkey puzzle tree with monkeys in it. There's one there. There's another dead looking one there somewhere. Is there another one? Oh yeah, there's another one hanging there. And one there. Very odd, but I like it.
The turret boxes are up next, and first we have a couple of panels ready. These panels attach to the rear of the turret top. It's pretty easy to get nice tight fits on these due to how it's put together, and I like it. Then there are a couple of smaller panels to attach. Adding these panels fills out the sides and bottom of the box. Again, they go together very well. Just make sure you orient them correctly. We then have another panel, which must be the top, and a smaller panel full of detail. These pieces, when added, complete the turret top. I wonder what those boxes are for anyway. Also, the split down the middle of the turret looks wider on this plastic one than it did on the resin one. And I want to know why.
I do have the resin version in a box somewhere. We should probably build that too at some point and compare them. But that's going to be a while away as yet. I mean, it's sat in the garage for 3 years. It's probably going to be another 3 before we get around to that. I just can't be asked to build it. It's such a faff. Maybe I should send it to someone to build. Does anyone do a resin kit building service?
Okay, back to those little finger pieces now with Tetris joints. You can't get these pieces wrong as they all have specific Tetris-shaped male and female joints. It's another design feature, one not seen in a kit before.
I've not seen in a kit before.
It's now time to pick these sponson weapons. I thought about quad las cannons, but this would be a nice time to build those new las cannon laser destroyer array things.
I forget the proper name now. I think they're laser destroyers, perhaps, maybe?
Now, building sponsons is always a bit of a faff, I find. Anyway, firstly, we need these 2 little half circles. Gluing those together gives us a full circle. There's 2 of these assemblies, as there's ones for each sponson, either side of the track.
Tank, either side of the tank. My word, does anyone pay attention to the script?
The next parts we need are these little hoops on sticks. Well, circles on sticks. They look a bit like targets from a Tin Can Alley type game, don't they?
Hello, I'm Chuck Connors, and this is Tin Can Alley. An exciting new electronic target game that truly tests your marksmanship from as far away as 25 feet. But Tin Can Alley is safe because it only shoots a beam of light that's as safe as a flashlight.
I always thought they fired pellets, not light beams. Huh. Every day's a school day, eh? Unless that was a different version that did actually fire pellets. Fire.
After adding the targets to the round parts, we then have these little sponson shields to attach. These again are something I want to paint separately, so of course we shall be leaving them off. Now, we thought we were done with the bands, but we forgot some. There were some more on the barrels, so let's take those off quickly.
Now, I've seen a lot of these Fellblades built now, and on a lot of them, this seam is really prominent, and it kind of detracts from the miniature as it's a focal point. So it's well worth the effort to try and fix it. Even just a little bit of fiddling will go a long way.
Using a 600 grit sanding sponge, we gently sand away at the seam. We use circular motions as not to leave nasty marks in the plastic. We're almost polishing the surface. We also sand the entire surface of the part and not just the seam, because if not, there'll be a distinct difference between the two surface types. Also, after one round of seam filling and sanding, the gun already looks a hell of a lot better, but I think we can do better though. After another round of a little glue and sanding, we have this. I think it's now fine to paint, but I have noticed there's a little seam on the inside edge, but hopefully no one will ever see that one. Hopefully.
Now, if I were entering this into a painting competition, such as Golden Demon, we would have to tackle that inner seam too. But as these are for tabletop play, we can leave it and move forward.
Here are the parts to make the laser destroyers. They look a lot like las cannons, but are different. They come in 2 parts each for the main body. An easy step now, we just glue the 2 halves together. These can have nasty gaps in as it's quite a flat joint, so be careful. Next up are the extra las cannons. There's 4 of these, another 2 for each sponson. Notice the barrels are not pre-drilled, so we shall have to do that ourselves. The extra barrels glue on quite neatly. Just take your time to make sure they're all aligned nicely. Nobody wants a droopy barrel. Here we can see our next job. Those barrels need to be drilled. Some people might decide to leave it, but a simple job makes the look 100 times better. Let's see the difference, shall we? Here are those barrels now drilled. They now look a lot better and only took a few minutes.
I like to use pin vices to drill my barrels. But word on the street is that some crazy people like to use electric drills. Sounds nuts to me.
Our next parts are these little sensors and circular differential looking things. These are actually the posts to mount the guns onto the sponson itself. These are a little fiddly to assemble, as you only glue them in certain places to allow the gun to move on the sponson. A little bit of excess glue somewhere accidentally can mean your sponson ends up glued together and immovable, so be careful and take your time. Next up are these little wiring looms. Some are very curvy and some a little straighter. There's a pair of each, 1 pair for each sponson, but I'm sure you knew that. With the wires attached, these sponsons are built. Again, we had to be careful we didn't get glue in the wrong place and have them seize up. We can then just twist on the sponsons to mount them on the Fellblade hull. Now, either my hole is too big or my shaft is too small because the fit is a bit loose, and I might have to do something about that.
Now, I always prefer my holes to be tight. I don't want to put something in there and have it flop around in some sort of chasm. If it's like this, the weapons, after a bit of moving, will just end up flopping down to the floor. I might have to put a few layers of paint or glue on there to tighten things up.
It's time for the crew, and we need the parts to make the first man, the commander.
Now, my goal with this kit is to replicate the original Fellblade kit that Forge World did at the release of the first edition of Horus Heresy back in 2012 was it? Way back when, I can't remember when it was. Anyway, book 1, Betrayal, came out with that. Anyway, their version had 2 crewmen on show in the top, which I would like to emulate. Let me have a look and see if I can find you any pictures or clips or something.
This was the best picture I could find of the crew, unfortunately. Apparently, we all used potato cameras back in the time of the original release. But you can hopefully see the commander has a bolt pistol and the gunner just has his head sort of popping out. It should be fun to replicate.
There's also a blink and you'll miss it appearance in a couple of old Forge World videos. Firstly, the World Eaters from the Miniature Gallery. And then the assault on the Preceptor's Palace. I do miss the old Forge World videos from the Forge World visual feed channel. I feel they should go back and do some more of those. They were really good. Some of their stuff was truly inspiring. Now, if you feel inspired and want to get your own Fellblade, then check out the affiliate link up here somewhere. When you get yours, please build it and paint it and show us all your progress in our friendly Discord server. The guys there would love to see it, especially Toshiba. He loves his tanks.
So here's the commander I built. I gave him a bolt pistol from the melee weapon set, but it's on the opposite hand to the original Forge World model. but I doubt anyone will ever notice. He also has a couple of shoulder pads, but these again are left off for painting separately. Now next up is the hatch. I want my turret hatches and crew detachable so I can change weapons out later if need be. So rather than stick it to the turret, we need to come up with a plan. So first up, we put the hatch in the correct position and hold it in place with a knob of blue tack. Blue tack is very handy stuff, and I strongly advise that everyone gets some. Then using some pipes and technical parts from the bits box, we glue the crewman to the hatch. It's a fiddly, spindly joint, but hopefully it'll be worth it. We then made the gunner chap by shaving his torso down a little to fit in the hatch hole. The hatch hole also needed reaming out a little to accept his girth. This one also got a blue tack holder and pipe bits joint. After waiting overnight for those fragile joints to dry, we can now lift the crewman out with the hatches, enabling us to add different hatches at a later date if we want to.
I feel that was very clever, else we would have had those hatches stuck in an up position if we'd have left them separate. Up, open, and that would have prevented any changes down the road. Now if you fancy chatting kit modifications or anything else hobby related, then please feel free to come along and join us on our friendly Discord server, which is not behind a paywall. There's a link to it in the description below, and I'll also stick a link up here somewhere. We look forward to chatting to you there.
One thing we have noticed with the commander is that his bolt pistol also needs its barrel drilling, so let's sort it. There we go. Done. Much better, don't you think? Once we add him back in, the Fellblade is actually built and ready for paint. While we put our big pile of used paints away, I just want to give a massive loving shout out to all of our channel members and Patreons. Dan Yallop, Lee Blackley, Donald, Dixie Wrecked, Pine Tree, Bobzilla, Wilma, Dick Fitter, I hope I said that right, Andrew Merrington, Nick Ellingham, Isla Vainol, Briars and Bantams, Timbo, Sven V, STK, FZ, Forge World, Craig McCahill, Mike Patterson, Jeroen B, and our newest member, Ecal Stevens. Thank you all so much for supporting us. If you want your name in lights and read out by me, Mrs. Snakeworks, then you can sign up using any of the links in the description below. We love you all.
We really do.
This build has been really good so far. Now speaking of things that are good, if you're enjoying this video, please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel. That means you, Ellen. Now remember, Mrs. Snakeworks has said that when we hit 25,000 subscribers, we're allowed to order a Reaver Titan, so please smash that subscribe button and we can hit that target ASAP. Now if you are enjoying the content on the channel, please consider joining us on Patreon, the link to which is in the description below or up here somewhere. Or you could even become a channel member, which is becoming all the rage these days. Again, there's a link to that in the description below. Alright, without further ado, let's check out the finished article, shall we?
So after all of that hard work and kit building excitement, the Fellblade is now all assembled and ready to paint.
Of course, there are some parts we haven't glued on for painting separately, but we are most of the way there and it should save us a lot of hassle in the long run.
What we have done is blue tacked most of the panels on here for you to get an idea of the final look, which I think is bloody fantastic. Now, I'm not usually one to blow my own trumpet, apparently only Prince could do that, but I reckon the little crew kit bashers have turned out really good, and hopefully we can do just as good a job with the painting.
I'm assuming it might take a while, so please be patient in waiting for that video.
We can't wait to get started. If you want to see some more Horus Heresy themed videos, check out the playlist up here somewhere. And as always, thank you very much for watching.